Hey, my name is Nathan Daggett. I'm the Director of Advertising here at Live Bearded, and this is my Beards Behind the Brand story. So I am 34. I grew up in the Pacific Northwest, a small town in Washington called Kelso, about an hour north of Portland. I'm married, and I have a 13-year-old daughter, and I have a 7-year-old son. So when I was 19, I was spending a lot of my life just kind of ratting around the country, playing in terrible punk rock bands, making just terrible decisions, just constantly out partying, just doing whatever felt right and had fun in the moment. You know, I was just kind of coasting through life. And somebody talked to me one day and they said something to the effect of, I don't expect you to understand what it's like to have to work for something in your life. You're a musician, you've never had to work for anything. And while I don't agree with that at all, because I know how hard I worked to do what I did with music, it did get me thinking. It got me thinking about the life that I had. And the life that I had wouldn't have been the same life had I been born in any other country under any other circumstances. I didn't grow up in a rich family, but I grew up without ever really wanting for anything. I always had what I needed. And I realized that had I been born anywhere else, that wouldn't have been possible. And so I decided to go down to the recruiter station and talk to them about joining the military. Guys, if there had been a category in the yearbook in high school for least likely to join the military, I would have won it hands down. But I decided that I needed to do this. I needed to do this for me. This was something that was gonna help me grow up. This is something that was gonna help me mature. And more than anything, it was gonna make me be in a position in life where I no longer felt like anyone could ever make me feel like I didn't deserve what I have. I ended up enlisting in the Army as a 13 Fox Fort Observer. Big love to all my Fort Observers out there watching right now. And it was just a blast. I remember going into basic training, and I remember any of my friends that I had talked to ahead of time that were like, hey, when you get there and that bus stops at basic, no matter what, just run, no matter what, and don't stop running. It's this whole thing they do called a shark attack. Those of you who have served, you know what I'm talking about. So I get to Lawton, Oklahoma, Fort Sill, and there is a foot of snow on the ground, and the drill sergeant steps on that bus to let you off into basic, and he's like, there will be no running on my base, absolutely none. And I'm like, I don't know what to do. Everyone told me to run no matter what, but this is obviously a trick. And so I got off the bus and started running and got snagged and yelled at right away for running when I was told not to. But in the military, I found strength. You know, it's hard to say this sometimes, it's hard to admit, but I was weak. I quit a lot. I had this tendency to just do what came easy. And if I was really good at it, I would pour my heart into it. But if I met any opposition, I'd just stop. I wanted the praise, and if I wasn't getting the praise, there was no reason to put any energy into getting better when I could just focus on the things I was naturally good at. And the military gave me this new ability to push through, to persevere, to push past any obstacle and just keep going until I got it right. And that is something that I'm gonna cherish for the rest of my life. That is something that's invaluable. Going into basic training, I wasn't even sure if I was gonna make it. You know, like, I had this history with not pushing past things that I had any kind of adversity in. You know, I just quit when the going got hard. So much so that the job that I was doing at the time, I actually didn't even quit my job when I joined the military. My 9-to-5 day job, I went on leave because I just didn't know if I would make it through basic training. And I was like, hey, I just wanna have this job here in case I don't. And I just remember by the time I got to basic training and just all the things I'd overcome, just feeling so powerful and realizing at that moment that I wasn't the same child who had come here on that plane, that got off on that bus and ran when he wasn't supposed to run. I was a completely new man. So after basic training, I ended up getting stationed in Schweinfurt, Germany. It was absolutely amazing to be overseas. And then our unit got deployed. I am an OIF veteran, so I deployed to Operation Iraqi Freedom. And I ended up getting medevaced out of Iraq, and I spent about 3 months in the hospital. And I started to get the medical discharge from there, and that was when things kind of got a little bit darker in my life, you know? I was getting out of the military, suddenly the people were telling me I was broken, and I wasn't sure what I was gonna do. And at that point is when I started to get massage therapy, and it actually was starting to help me with a lot of the problems I had. And that's when this first real light went off in me of a calling, and I was like, I need to do this. I need to learn how to bring this level of healing to other people. And so as soon as I ended up getting medically discharged from the military, I think it was about a week later, I started school to become a massage therapist. Well, I spent about 10 years as a massage therapist after that. And it was just one of the more beautiful chapters of my life. Being able to come in every day, use my hands to make a tangible difference in somebody's life, to change the quality of their life with just touch, that's beautiful. And I couldn't have asked for anything more. Literally, I got to go to work every single day and make people's lives better, make them in less pain, make them in less anxiety. And I don't know how you could ask for anything more fulfilling and rewarding in a career than being able to bring that kind of change and healing to the world. After the military, I knew I wanted to grow a beard. I mean, being told to shave every day, I actually ended up getting a shaving profile towards the end of my time in the military, where I was allowed to keep a short beard. Had to be a 1/4 inch or shorter. And so that was really cool for me, and I knew that when I got out, I wanted to grow a big beard. The problem was, the first time I grew out my beard, it kind of looked like I super glued pubic hair to my face. It was rough. Don't believe me? Check out this picture. Rough, right? And so I didn't know what to do. I kept shaving because it just didn't look right. And then one day I was sitting on the toilet. I know, awkward, right? Scrolling through my phone, as one does. And I saw an ad from this company called Live Bearded. And it was for a free wooden beard comb. You just pay shipping and handling. I remember looking at that ad wondering, like, is this a scam? Like, are these people, like, this can't be legit. Shipping and handling's cheap. I'll gamble it on a free beard comb, see what they're about. So I put in my order for a free beard comb. And I gotta tell you guys, that was one of the best decisions I ever made in my life. It set off a chain of events that has made my life amazing. So the comb gets there, right? And those of you who don't know the history of Live Bearded, that's actually where the company had started. Spencer and Anthony got these wooden combs and they sent them out, and in return, they added you to a Facebook group called the Live Bearded Brotherhood. Now at the time, there was only maybe 200 or less members. And they used that to really talk to people, get to know them, get to find what they needed in their beard journey. And so I thought that was really cool, and I really started to develop a relationship with these guys. I was like, man, this is awesome. And as the company grew, it was growing out of that direct feedback from these guys. It was a company that was built by the consumer, and that was just so unreal to me. As the group started to grow, though, it needed a little more help, and they just didn't have the time for it. So they started to look to have some admins and moderators, and that's where I really first started getting involved. I had some experience moderating some large Facebook groups on Facebook, so I hit them up and was like, hey, if you guys want some help with that, I'd be more than willing to help. And that's really where my journey to where I am today officially started, I would say. It really came together big in North Carolina at the barbecue. I was landing at the same time that Adam, much love to you, Wiz, if you're watching. I was landing at the same time as Adam, the customer service representative at the time. And I had gotten a rental car, so I was like, hey, I'm already here. You guys don't need to send a taxi or an Uber for him. Like, I'll pick him up, drive him over, hang out for a little bit. And then once I got there, I just kept putting myself, in a place to do something. I was like, hey, if you guys need help, let me know. I'll be happy to help. And so I ended up staying most of that night, and they're like, hey, why don't you just stay the night with us tonight here at the Airbnb? So I stayed that night, we had fun, we kept working on the event for the next day, and afterwards I was like, why don't you just stay the rest of the trip? It's been awesome. And by the end of the trip, they're like, we're gonna find a spot for you on this team. Like, you're gonna work for Live Bearded. We have to have you with us. One of the things that really, really woke me up with Live Bearded was a lot of the things I was hearing from Anthony. At this point, I'd gotten out of the military, and I had this horrible mindset, to be honest with you. Somebody told me I was broken, and I was stupid enough to believe them. And then to hear these thoughts that Anthony was saying, it just woke something up in me, helped me know that, I'm not broken, I was just lazy. And so I really, really started getting after it, especially in the last year or so. I've really changed my mindset and understood that I'm not broken, I'm just lazy. I need to get up. I can change that. It's something that I can do. And so I'm up every morning, pushing harder, going further, trying to get to where I want, because nothing is going to stop me from getting there. Nothing is going to stop me from being who I want to be at this point in my life. And I love having the Brotherhood there. The Brotherhood is such a wonderful place for me to share that motivation, because I know a lot of you guys are struggling too. The Brotherhood filled in a hole that I was missing in my life. Leaving the military, not having my squad anymore, not having my platoon anymore, not having all my battle buddies. That was a bond I just didn't think could ever get replaced. And I have to tell you, and I know it sounds cliche, but honestly, the bond that I have with my bearded brothers, with you guys in the Brotherhood, is the closest thing I'm ever going to find to the bond I had with my squad outside of the military. So as a veteran of OIF, I've been diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder, and I know a lot of you guys are in that same boat. And I didn't talk about it for a long time. I didn't even want to talk to the doctors about any symptom I was having with it. I felt ashamed, I felt weak, because I feel like that's a mindset that's really pushed towards us. And one of the most beautiful things that's ever happened was me reframing how I looked at that in my mind. I'm now a very outspoken advocate for post-traumatic stress disorder. I really think that it's important that we normalize this, that we talk about it, that we talk about the weight, the scars that we have. Just because you can't see them doesn't mean they're not there. And I look at it as a badge of honor. And for any of you guys struggling out there, I want you to know, you can look at this as a badge of honor. If this is a burden, a weight you're bearing, don't look at it as this negative thing. Look at it as a reminder that you're a great person, because war isn't something that a normal person should be able to go live through and not have it affect them. So every time you have those moments where you just feel your chest tightening up, where you feel that anxiety, just remember that that's a reminder that you're a freaking good person. If I could go back in time and talk to my younger self and just tell myself one thing, I would tell him that you're better than you think you are. You're stronger than you think you are. You're more than you think you are. I spent so much time when I was young worrying about whether or not I was good enough for this or good enough at that. I was always so worried about whether I was enough that I was never willing to try. Anything I wasn't enough at, anything I didn't know I was enough at already, I didn't even try. So if I could go back and just say one thing, it's that you're better than you think you are. You're stronger than you think you are. You're more than you think you are. Guys, I just want to say thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening to this. You know, it's hard to feel like my life is something that's gonna be something somebody wants to watch. But if you're watching this right now and you could find even just a little bit of motivation, a little bit of inspiration from this, then standing here and spewing all this stuff about myself was worth it 1,000 times over. Just like I said, I would tell my younger self that you're more than you think you are. You're stronger than you think you are. I would tell that to each and every one of you guys watching this as well. Keep pushing further, keep pushing harder. You can do this. And if you need any support, you know here at Live Bearded, we've always got your back. Reach out to us. We would love to know what we can do to support you in your journey.